Alright, since we got some Protag classic remakes, we of course must have some rival classic remakes. At least all of them, because just like the last time with Yuri, we're having a different character instead of Reiji. But anyway, let's begin. So first up, we start out with a new Deep Eyes White Dragon, the Blue Eyes Abyss. Yes, a new version of Deep Eyes that I was not really expecting at all, because out of all of Kaiba's old classic cards, they decide to choose the ultimate form that was used once in the anime, instead of something like maybe XYZ, but oh well, this is actually pretty cool because it's a level 10 light dragon with 0 attack and defense, and it's also treated as a blue eyes card, which is actually very important, and each effect is hard once per turn. The first one being you can discard this card to add one level 1 light tuner from your deck to your hand, with the second effect kind of linked to the first effect, because if a blue eyes ritual monster and or a blue eyes white dragon is sent to the graveyard, you can target one of them, special summon this card from the graveyard or from hand, and if you do, this card gets attack equal to that chosen monster's attack, but banish it when it leaves the field. So in a way, it is considered a D-power version of the original Deep Eyes, but also more useful because not only that you can use this as fodder for searching, which can also set itself up to special summon itself from the graveyard, which in a way is kind of retaining its original effect where you can special summon it from hand when your blue eyes is destroyed, but this one is easier to summon since it's just sending a blue eyes to the graveyard, but more restricted because it's only to blue eyes white dragon or the ritual monster, while the original one could be any blue eyes. But one thing I don't really like about this new version of Deep Eyes is that it kind of lost what it had from original Deep Eyes, aka the nuke effect along with the burn effect, because Deep Eyes is considered to be the ultimate blue eyes next to Shining Dragon. So turning an ultimate form of a boss monster into more of a consistency engine is kind of weird to me, but I do love the extra special summon effect, because I will be fair, it does actually make this card more useful than the original Deep Eyes. So overall, an awesome new card. And then we go to a new spell instead of a new monster, Future Fusion Nova, which is of course Ryu using Future Fusion and the Nova part referencing Cyber Dragons. And once again, kind of confirming that they're choosing Kaiser as the main rival for this set rather than Manjome, which I really wish those characters get a little more respect as rivals. But anyway, it's a continuous spell, and when this card is activated, fusion summon one light fusion machine monster from your extra deck using monsters from your deck, including its Cyber Dragon, and also for the rest of the turn after this card resolves, you cannot special summon anything but machines, and cannot declare an attack except with that summoned monster. And then when this card leaves the field, destroy that monster, and when that monster is destroyed, destroy this card. You can only activate one of these per turn. So you guys don't remember Future Fusion's anime effect, instead of the original version where you actually have to wait 2 turns by sending those materials from the graveyard first and then wait 2 turns, the original anime one that was used actually could summon it immediately, but nothing could attack during the turn. And in a way, this card kind of references that, even though the monster you summon can attack during the turn. But it is overall a nice new card because not only that you can send those materials to the graveyard from your deck, which in turn just sets up the graveyard for more plays, but the fact that you don't even need to wait a turn is also very huge. And then to Jack's card that is not a monster, being Red Dragon Archfiend's Chains, which is a continuous trap and you can only activate one of these per turn, and you can also activate during the same turn it was set by revealing a Red Dragon Archfiend from your extra deck. And based on its name, it is definitely Fiendish Chain with Red Dragon Archfiend. And of course there's the artwork of showing all the chained up shooting star dragons. But anyway, you activate this card by revealing any number of monsters from your hand, then target effect monsters your opponent controls equal to the number of tuners revealed plus 1, meaning that you're going to be choosing at least 1, because if you reveal 0, you're still going to be choosing 1. The monsters chosen loses 100 attack for each card revealed, and also their effects are negated. And if the last monsters are not on the field, destroy this card. Basically, you got a mass negate for Red Dragon Archfiend, in a form of basically like a Fiendish Chain, although the monster can still attack. I just really love the absolute power of mass negating. And even if you don't have any cards in hand, you could at least negate 1. And what makes this even better is that you could activate during the same turn as long as you have a Red Dragon Archfiend. And because it says Red Dragon Archfiend, it means it's in text, meaning it's also searchable. So yeah, good new addition for Red Dragon Archfiends. And then to a kind of wacky new card for Kaito, Galaxy Defense Robot Orbital 7. Orbital 7 of course being his robot, and it was into a monster card as well. And the Defense Robot part is actually a reference of Orbital 7's deck, and here we are combining it with Galaxy, so basically it's going to be part of Kaito's deck. And the artwork that you see is basically Orbital 7's attack mode. And even though this is a character turn into a card, I'm actually kind of glad that they did this because this is actually pretty awesome. Even though they could technically remake something like number 46 instead. But anyway, it's a level 8 light machine with 2000 attack and defense, and each effect is hard once per turn. The first one is that you contribute this card from hand or field and take 1 photon and galaxy monsters from your deck and add 1 to hand and send to the other to the graveyard. But you're restricted to light monsters for the rest of the turn, which is fine because this card is just absurdly good for basically kind of a +2. Not only that you could swap this card out from your hand because it contributes from hand, but trading it for basically 2 cards is definitely huge because the photon monster is usually the one that you want in your hand as it has the on summon effect, while the galaxy monster sent to the graveyard usually has some sort of graveyard effect. And also in a way, that sent to the graveyard part also kind of triggers some effects, or even just sets you up for more special summon. Even though this doesn't have photon in name, the galaxy part is still pretty decent. But the second effect is that if a galaxy-ized monster is special summoned to the field, you can special summon this card from the graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. That banish part might not be too relevant unless if you link summon, but being in level 8 meaning that it could be another material with your galaxy eyes, so you could go for a rank 8 exceed. So there's no better helper than the assistant robot. And then to a character that is not even a rival, but was shown in the anime going to duel the main protag and never did, and not even really interacted physically, other than as a spirit, which is the clear-winged Synchro dragon of the 4 Heavenly Dragon. And now we're just missing Dark Rebellion version of this. But anyway, it's a level 7 wind dragon with 2500 attack, 2000 defense, generic summoning condition, and it's also treated as a Speedroid card, which is actually very huge for the deck, and both of the effects are hard once per turn. The first one being if this card special summon, you can destroy 1 effect monster your opponent controls, and if you do, this card gets attack equal to that monster's original attack. Nice that it says special summon and not synchro summon, because there are ways to summon this card back, especially with the second effect, in a similar vein to basically Star Venom, the Heavenly 4 version. When your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower wind tuner from your hand or graveyard with its effects negated, and then immediately after this effect resolves, you can synchro summon 1 wind monster. So similar to Star Venom, it retains kind of its original effect and then has the extra bonus effect to basically evolve it. In this case, you're going to synchro summon to basically Crystal Wing or Crystal Clear Wing, and if possible, maybe go to the over Synchro Dragon. And I also like the part where this is not even locked to Speedroids, so meaning that it is kind of generic enough for you to basically play in any Synchro deck that you wish, especially when it comes to wind decks because of its second effect. I am still wondering where is Reiji's monster. And then finally to Revolvers, to Rocket Barrage, which based on its artwork, it is definitely a reference of his rocket army of bullets. And also I love the fact that it's basically his original lineup of monsters in this one card. Funny that it's not a fusion monster though, but anyway, it's a level 5 Dark Dragon with 1500 attack, 1600 defense, and both effects are hard once per turn. The first one is that you can send 1 Dark Dragon monster from your deck to the graveyard, except a level 5 monster. Because of this card, you can special summon this card from hand, but if you're going to do extra deck plays for the rest of the turn, it has to be dark. This is already pretty good because it is a level 5, so it does kind of trigger with some other monsters. And the fact that you're sending a material to the graveyard is also very huge. Although you can't use this as material with Striker Dragon though, because Striker Dragon requires level 4 or less. But the second effect is definitely a reference to the bullets, because when a Link monster effect activates, targets this card on the field, quick effect, you can destroy this card, then special summon 1 rocket from each from your hand, deck, graveyard, and or banishment except itself. Link monster targets this card, that's a reference to its playstyle, but the part where you could just mass summon from your hand, deck, graveyard, and or banishment is just huge. Because essentially, you're trading 1 monster for multiple. Even though you might not get the banishment one, you are definitely going to get the deck and graveyard one, and maybe from hand as well. Which also in turn means more materials and more bullets for you to load. And also another thing that you can keep in mind with the first effect, sending that Dark Dragon monster to the graveyard. It could be your Absolouter Dragon, which effect would just trigger. It could even be your Borreload Riot Dragon, which has a graveyard effect to return stuff from the graveyard. So yeah, this card is just too good to not run. And so that's it for this batch of the rival cards, at least almost all of them, because except for 1, and technically 2 depending on how you see Hell Kaiser. What do you guys think of them? Once again, kind of weird to see certain boss monsters turn into more of a support role, even though it makes the card more useful for the deck. And when it comes to classic remakes, this is not what I was expecting. I was not expecting spells and traps for this remake, especially from the last batch where it's just all monsters. But it is nice that it is basically a reference to their original cards, and I am still wondering where is Reiji's card. Reiji has not got one single card in the rival set, and instead got replaced by the U-Boys at the moment, and I'm still hoping for the Armageddon. And now seeing that Clearwing has a Heavily Forged Dragon form, we're now missing a Dark Rebellion version, and I like the fact that Clearwing is with Star Venom in the same set as Yuri actually possessed both of them, so hopefully Dark Rebellion in the other set. And maybe have a Zarc as well, because why not? But please actually bring Reiji's cards in. It's just kinda weird that every rival but Reiji gets any cards at all. But on that, that's it for this, and see you next time.